What is up, people, and welcome back to the channel. Right, so I'm being attacked today. We need to sort of come up with something for here, don't we, that holds this thing, does this. So what we've got is one of my radius arm mounts. The only thing I need off that is the height, because that represents the center of the rear spindle on my chassis, which gives me a 3.5 inch ground clearance. Now I have got some wheels coming, some 13 by 8 without tyres, which technically, once on the hub, if the wheel is on here, should be at the right height, because my tyres are about 3.5 inches. But we need to come up with some drawings. Now I've had a load of bits comes. I've got rose joints, bung things, just bungs I think, whatever they're called anyway. Misalignment spacers, got some bolts, I've got a few other little bits and bobs for the centre one. But I just want to focus on getting something here first. So what we're going to do, we're going to take some measurements, not to scale, and then I'm actually going to draw it to scale on some bigger paper. So we need one for here. Well, technically there's going to be two, yeah, which are going to hold the one joint. So there's going to be a set here, a set over there, and then the two in the middle are going to be slightly different, and then the ones on the axle are going to be different. So of this actual one here, we need 4 of, 2 for this end, 2 for that end. The 2 in the middle are going to be the same, but they only need one joint. Let me get another one. So say we have 2 joints, yeah, because our 4 link works. Well, technically mine's going to be a 5 link, maybe. You can just do this as a 4 link, as I said I was going to do. Technically, it's actually a 5 link. It's tight. Because if I was to run a 4 link, technically I'd have an axle sitting here. I'm going to make some mounts to hold a bar. Right? Tell you what. Shall I do that now? Just something to hold a piece of material at the right height. Let me knock something up to hold a section of 45mm CDS, which I'm going to use for my axle, not T45 and not ROPT. The stuff I'm using for my roll cage is ROPT roll cage tube. T45 is also roll cage tube. A normal CDS is heavier, and it's also harder to bend, from what I've noticed. And I've got a length of my old stuff. So I'm going to make it out of stock. It's still going to be cold drawn seamless steel, CDS. That's what I'm going to make my axle out of. Right, let me just knock up something to hold this. Right then, so what I have come up with is this bit of 25 by 50. Yeah, what I've done is I've cut it to that's my 6.5 inch length, which is to the center line of the axle. So I've dotted it, and what we're going to do, we're going to chuck it in the milling machine. We're going to run a 45 through it. I'm doing this to get the best accuracy on the angle. Don't really need to be accurate, but it's just me and I'm an arse. So we'll run that through there, then we'll cut it in half, and then the axle can just sit in that, and I'll put a couple of magnets on it. doing that just so I know my clearances. I would love to be able to extend this up. Basically make another section of this with the dovetail, because it splits down there. So then this could run lower, because it will bring the head up higher. But finding a block of steel like that and then someone to put the dovetail in, for the amount we use the machine, it's not really viable, if I'm honest. This is way overkill for what I actually need this for. Anybody else agree? Yeah? Where should we put it? Gotta be careful I don't go through it with parallel, haven't I? So that there will work. So if we put that there and that there, and this, oh yes, son of a, this on here. So I know that this is 50mm box. So we want the point to 25mm in. Yeah? It's about there. Good enough for me. Yeah.
Can you come and get my speed? Can you come and get my speedy?
Your what now?
My speedy.
What is a speedy?
This the thing where you sit on it and go.
Your Segway thing?
Yeah.
Go on then.
He'll be back.
Right, let's see how this goes, shall we? We are about in the centre. Right, so if I drive that through there, it will hit my parallels. So we're going to have to take it out. But I've pilot drilled through the other side so we can locate it using the pilot drill. Because I'm not damaging my parallels. Because parallels are expensive. Yeah? And this isn't absolute precision needed, you know what I mean? But you know what I'm like, people. You know what I'm like. Let's get it out, don't we? Good. So that now is in the hole. I drilled all the way through. Off we go again. Oh, she's a mess. Right, give this a deburr and we'll go on. Right. Here's our axle holders. 2 of them. So, all we got to do is move all this rubbish, work out where my axle's got to be, and then stand it on there. And it's about right there. Worked out my distances, and the way I did that was using some of my mounts, my radius arm mounts. Actually, not that one. One of these on there, because I know on my chassis that's where a normal radius arm mount is. So I know from the centre of this hole, or the centre of this slot, back is the distance, which I think is 11.5 inches or something on a normal Mini. From the centre of that bolt to the centre of the stub axle. And a van or an estate is 4 inches longer. So I've worked out the centre of this to there and worked it out. That is roughly where it needs to be. Roughly, well, you know, within a mil or two. That is about where she needs to be. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm starting to do some measurements on how the brackets are going to be. But I really need this axle to be a little bit more axle-y than a piece of bar. And because I want to run rear discs on it, just to save, yes, to save the weight and for a bit of the woo factor. If any of you remember, I've got this AP disc brake set up for a Mini, which runs these AP racing calipers. Well, I couldn't locate the discs, so I was going to have some made. But now, I'm not going to. I'm going to strip these for parts. So I'm going to keep this, and I want the axle, the stub axle, out the inside of it. So I don't need the arm then, because the arms have been modified on these to make it wider. So it's got less flex on a space frame. And it's got, you know, it's done really well. These came off Harvey Deeth's V8 Booster Mini. So I don't need any of this stuff. All I want is the stub axle and this. And then I'm going to, more than likely, onto the axle, I'll weld a 4-bolt flange or something. Make a new one of these to hold a really small caliper. Instead of having these big ones. The big ones are for like a heavy car. I ain't running a heavy car, am I? Yeah, so, and the reason I want these, because these are the big heavy duty ones, but they've also been, they're the ones that have been modified for the perimeter parameter, whatever it is anyway, the roll bars and the little things that go beep, beep, beep. So, yeah, we need to get this off and we need to press that out. Now, apparently, I've been asking my mate at CAD and he said some of them do take a bit of pushing or a bit of heat. So, I'm going to strip that off and take this out, because what I need to do is I'm going to take the measurements off one of these two cars from the center, from this face here across to the other face. Yeah, then I can work out how I'm going to fit this, because I would know the length of my tube needed to make all this work. You'll see anyway. We'll figure it out. So I've got to make an insert to make this bigger to the ID of the 45mm tube. So I'm going to start stripping this down and see where we get. You know when you stand back and look at something and you think, you freaking penis. I was trying to push you through the wrong way. I flipped it over. Go straight fucking out. What an arse. I was looking at it thinking, well, it don't come out that way, does it? Because otherwise it'd just fall out. What an absolute freaking dildo. I'll strip the other one down now and get that one out as well. What an absolute freaking donut. Right, so what I'm doing here is I'm jotting down just some dimensions of this section. So it's full width, it's ID, it's OD, the recess in here, because we need the right amount sticking out, don't we? Do you know what I mean? We can't have it not enough or too much because of the bearings. So what I need to make is something that looks like this, but slides into a piece of this, because at the minute we're a bit loose. Yeah, but really I don't need this end sticking on, do I? Because it's going to be inside. So I'm unsure now whether just to get some of these made. So instead of me making a sleeve that fits on this, that fits in that, I can have one of these made longer, turned down with a step on it. Basically, like, include this on this, and then it just drops in and gets welded in. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, I'm just wasting a set of these really good rear axle pins, aren't I? Yeah, I need to really think about what I'm going to do here now. Because once these are in the axle, you're not going to get them back out, are you? You know what I mean? Man, these are fucking light, I tell ya. Nothing to these. Right, I'm going to keep thinking. See where I go from here. Because really, I mean, it'd be alright. It wouldn't be that much work to make some of these. It's just cutting the threads on the end. Isn't it? From one's left hand and one's right hand. That there is where you can see it, but you can't feel it. So, yeah. Let me have a think. Right, so the plan is, I've got some of this polyethylene. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it up. I'm going to make an insert for this to fit in, to try it, to see whether it will work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make new ones of these. The full length of that. So I've got enough in the tube for my forelink to go around. So the forelink's just not relying on the tube. It's got this inside it as well. So I'm going to cut a chunk of that, chuck it in the lathe, machine it all up. So this pushes through and sticks out. And then this will slide into the tube. Right, and I'm going to crack on with that. Right, so we've got that. That took bloody long enough. So this is like a prototype, shall we say. So that goes in there nice and tight. We need to get it through that way. And I must admit I've gone a bit too precise. So we're going to have to hope. I wonder if I've got anything I can stick over there to protect it. I don't think I have. I'm just going to have to go for it, and if it fucks it up, it fucks it up. Eh? Put a nut on the end of there, shall we? That is exactly the same fucking size. What's the odds of that? Put a nut on there, I guess. What about any of that stuff? I'm just talking to myself. Oh, what I can do. This has taken an awful lot longer than I thought it was going to take. What does the odds say? So that is down. That's not all the way down. If we're nowhere near sticking out enough. Oh, you son of a bitch. Okay, there we go. It's going to go more than that. There we go. I think that is all the way there now. Is it supposed to be 34mm? 35mm. So that is it. So there is our prototype stub axle. So that'll press into the 45mm tube now. But what I'll do is I'll grab that in the chuck and just make sure that that's to the diameter, because it would have spread because we've been shoving that in there. Right, I'm going to call that video here because it was my own extended time and this took a lot longer than I thought, because you can only take so much material off this because it spines up everywhere. Right, thanks for watching, and in the next one we'll have this on, we'll have a drive flange on, and hopefully we'll have a wheel to try on as well. Then we can work out the offset from the end of the axle that the forling's got to go. See you next one, people. See you later.